A vote in the French Senate could see under-15s banned from social media. If adopted, France will become the first European nation to follow in the footsteps of Australia. President Macron hopes the law will be in place ahead of the new academic year in September. Well, joining us now is France-based journalist Jamie Smith-Maillet. Jamie, good to talk to you today. We've seen this implemented in Australia, but how significant would it be if France became the first European country to do this?
It would indeed be pretty significant, and that's what certainly the message that Emmanuel Macron, French president, is trying to put across, is that this would be a big, hopefully pioneering move for European nations to follow. And I guess we're seeing sort of the trend there on this question of social media, obviously, since Australia, Indonesia as well, just last week. So that it is part of this overall trend about social media ban. I should say as well that Emmanuel Macron had pledged to look into the challenges of social media for his second mandate, his second term, and he is just coming to the end of his second term with presidential elections expected here in France next year in 2027. So this would indeed be a pretty big move. Now, the bill as it stands has already been voted through in the lower chamber, the Assemblée nationale, and today it is being debated in the Sénat, which is the upper chamber here in France, sort of the equivalent of the House of Lords in the United Kingdom. And indeed, Emmanuel Macron has said this would be a pioneering change. The author of the bill, an MP, Laure Millet, who is from the Renaissance, the centrist party of Emmanuel Macron, has really put this forward, saying that there should be a clear limit in French society to social media, saying that something simple can be done, and this simple thing could be a social media ban, as it is harmful to younger people. The ban would be in place for those under the age of 15, and this comes after a whole raft of research here in France and elsewhere, healthcare authorities saying that social media brings about psychological damage to those under the age of 15, leading to lowered self-esteem, to disruptive behavior, and also to bullying. There also is a class action lawsuit by a number of parents in France taken out against the Chinese giant TikTok on its algorithms, saying that its algorithms had brought about videos of depression and suicide messages to a number of teenagers. So this is a big hot topic here in France, and indeed, if the bill does pass, it could be a pioneering piece of legislation.
And Jamie, what kind of support would you say this has in French society?
I mean, if we look at the National Assembly, which here in France is very much split, the picture there perhaps does represent what I have been hearing as well in French society, is that there's overall support for this bill. And the National Assembly passed this back in January with a margin of around 100 seats. So there is support there. What I've been hearing as well from teachers in schools is obviously the challenges that they are facing as well, with increased use of social media, questions as well that we've heard elsewhere about addiction and other such challenges. We're obviously now into the era of artificial intelligence when it comes to learning. There's a whole other area of discussion there. So the message, generally speaking, is that there is overall support. That being said, it comes down to the finer details. And that is that Emmanuel Macron's government is looking for a blanket ban across the board. And that's something that the Senate today has said may wish to seek an amendment on. And they're saying that this actually could impinge upon the fundamental rights of children of having access to information online in other areas. So they would be looking at more of a detailed ban on a certain level of social networks that would only be authorized by decree later in the year, and that other websites should be chosen by parents as to whether they would allow their access to teenagers, to children. So it comes down to the nitty-gritty of finer details, which might actually lead to this hallmark piece of legislation bouncing back between the houses here in France as it is debated today in the Senate.
And briefly, Jamie, I mean, how likely do you think it is that the lower house, which have already approved it, that the upper house will back it?
It looks like it's sitting today that there will be those challenges going forward. The upper house sits to the right. So there's quite a likelihood that that amendment will be pushed through today, which means the bill will go back down to the lower house. So a little bit of back and forth, but we'll just wait and see how those debates fall out. And it's the lower house, the lower chamber, that has the final say if there is a to and fro between those two houses.
Jamie, thanks so much. We're gonna